Now, this is indeed a day for relief and joy, not just for Israelis, but for many people in the world, almost all nations in the world. A major conflict is coming to a rest, but will this sustain? Will it become a long-term? That's one lingering question that everyone has as well. Now, Professor Sanjay Bhardwaj, School of International Studies of the Jawaharlal Nehru University in Delhi, is with us to answer that very question. What do you feel, Professor?
No, that's a very important question. That is peace without justice is sustainable. The issue is that has the Gaza and the Palestinian issue is resolved? I'm still wondering because Hamas people they are not participating in this summit. Israel there is very doubtful that they are participating, but certainly I can say that it is a victory of the humanity that the people who had been hostage for last 2 years now they are going to be released by Hamas people, and in the same manner that Israel will also release the Palestinian people, around 2,000 people. So definitely there are a good initiative, good beginning, and this would be a landmark agreement in Middle East that would trying to lead the world towards the peace. Again, one more very important question: is the issue of terrorism resolved? That while the act of Hamas was the terrorist attack, and they have killed the innocent people in Israel, is the Americans that Turkish and the Pakistani people they are understanding the pain of terrorism that the entire other world are also facing. So I think in this summit that issue is also very significant, where Israeli people they have suffered from terrorism and India is also suffering from the terrorism. They should also take this very seriously, and I think in this agreement, in this peace process, this issue also should be addressed very seriously. Now it comes that whether the Hamas people are going to be disarmed themselves, are they going to leave Palestine or Gaza for the stability or peace in this region? Are they going to accept the Palestinian authorities' rule for the future of the Gaza? These are very important, very significant questions still need to be resolved. One more thing that, of course, that Israel is now they are withdrawing their forces and they are obeying the ceasefire. The international forces, how they will make the sustainable peace and will add to the humanitarian concerns that has been raised, because now entire Gaza Strip is ruined by 2 years of war between the Hamas and the Israeli. So I'm looking forward that all the stakeholders they are involved in the conflict, either from the Middle East or from the Israel. They should build a trust, because that is most important aspects. If there will be trust deficit among these parties, then there would be no sustainable peace. Now, one more thing: whether the other proxies or other states had been supporting Hamas against the Israel war are satisfied with this peace process that Donald Trump and the other 20 countries are leading towards this. There I count Iran and that Houthis and Hezbollah. They are maybe not now very active in this, but tomorrow they can support again the Hamas people to do the further any other violent act that they have done 2 years back. So there are still some concerns, but I'm sure the initiatives by the 20 countries, and particularly that the European Union and other institutions they are endorsing, I'm sure that this would bring a peace in this Middle East,
Hmm.
entire Middle East, and particularly in Gaza Strip, that would lead to the better life of the people that
Right.
they have.
Now, one more thing, Professor, which is undeniable, is that this is a huge moment of triumph for Donald Trump. And he's, I'm sure, there to take credit for it. And he has very clearly declared, not just once, but at least twice, that the war is over. And he'll have to make sure that the war remains over, which is going to be perhaps an even more Herculean task than it was to getting these two parties to agree to do what they've done so far, which is cease hostilities the release of the hostages and agreeing to, we'll see the release of prisoners and detainees as well from the Israeli side.
No, no, definitely. See the if you see that immediate gain, of course they are releasing hostages, and that is a victory for not only for the Americans or for the Israelis, but but the victory of the humanities when the hostage has been released. They have been suffering, but the most important point that what is the institutional memory of the Americans, that why Americans they have been silently supporting Israel while there were demands for the two nations in Middle East in Palestine, and that has not been recognized for a long. Still, the Americans they has to recognize Palestine. The other countries I give the credit to the like France, like Canada, like number of the countries they have recognized recently Palestine as an independent state. So they are believing in two-nation theory. That India is also endorsed that two-nation theory, and India also believe a sustainable peace in this region. But Americans, I don't know how much Trump and the institutions will sustain these peace efforts to bring and to help the Gaza people there who had been displaced, the Palestinians who had been displaced over the years. So that is a big question, but I'm sure that the Hamas will not also do any violent act that they have done. That also need to be ensured by the Trump administration as well as the other countries they are involved. But of course, I appreciate that the Trump he wanted to resolve this issue by peaceful manner. He also wanted to resolve the issue between Ukraine and Russia in the peaceful manner. But the Americans, they have larger geostrategic interests. They prioritize sometimes on the values, the goals. And in the goals, they compromise with the democracy, human rights, and other issues. So I'm sure that Donald Trump and the American institutions will not compromise if they have any strategic interest in the Middle East.
And
So
what do you expect to emerge out of Sharm El Sheikh? We will, of course, perhaps hear more about the board of peace as to who all will be its constituents, and it seems it will tell us whether still Donald Trump looks at Gaza as a piece of real estate and how it should be sort of divided up between all those who will preside over its future for the coming few months and years, for the foreseeable future. Really, is that something that we will get to know from Sharm El Sheikh, the summit, the Gaza summit that's set to be held there?
no, no, definitely this will be a landmark summit that, particularly while keeping the Middle East that has been disturbed for last more than 7 decades that we have seen after 1950s. I'm looking forward that whether Donald Trump and other states from the European countries and from the Middle East, they will take it very seriously, and they will looking forward for a sustainable peace in this region. But my bigger question it comes whether the peace without justice is sustainable. Is that justice has been delivered in Middle East on both the sides, where the Israel had been suffering from the terrorism, and that the Palestinians they have been suffering from the statelessness or homelessness. So I'm sure that unless until you will not have a trust building efforts, unless until you will not involve the international institutions to take care of the people's well-being in this region, that the peace could not be sustainable. So I'm sure that the efforts that it has been done in this summit will take the things seriously, and they are looking forward to have a sustainable peace in this region, and they will address the concerns of the both sides of the people, and they will ensure the peace on Israel and Palestine border.
Well,
And
I don't
that
know justice, if you see justice as peace and reconciliation and some sort of peace process where people who have committed wrongs in the past are
I am
persecuted,
not able
brought
to
to
hear
book as
you.
well.
Can you repeat it?
I don't know if that will happen or not, because right now the talk is about amnesty and in terms of the Hamas ceasing to exist in a practical sense. That is what perhaps Israel will be deriving satisfaction from. Beyond that, I don't see to what extent peace and reconciliation and justice will happen. But let's see what happens next as far as Sharm El Sheikh is concerned, and with these engagements that are taking place for Donald Trump and others in that region. Thanks a lot for joining us for the moment.
And let me add one point here that that the entire world, even in the Ukraine and Russia issues and on this Middle East conflict, Israel-Hamas conflict, the world was divided in between two. One was the peace camp, one was the justice camp. The peace camp, they were looking ceasefire, and I'm
Yes.
sure in this issue, the peace camp has a victory. That you definitely a peace has been restored, and now there is exchange of hostage. And I think that is the larger issues that the humanity has been suffered a lot from both the sides, and now they are coming with the ceasefire. The victory of the peace camp is there, but I'm still wondering whether this would satisfy the justice camp. They are looking two nations states resolutions. They are also looking that
I
whole
got your
entire
point. I got your
community
point.
in
I got your point. But let's see in which way things progress from this point. Thanks.